And that staying in the hospital is extremely expensive. And depending on where you're at in the hospital, it's gonna differ pretty greatly if you're in ICU, etc. So that's the driving force. And so when people are uninsured, and the hospital cannot recuperate that cost that they put out, that's expensive. And that's when you come into people who are uninsured and they get in because they think they're healthy and they get in a car accident, or all of a sudden they have cancer, or a brain aneurysm or a stroke, or a million other ways in which you could need health care.
Yeah.
So that's the real issue. So
well, he was also pointing out, if you read the whole article, this doctor, and I don't disagree with you, and this is not a debate here, I'm in agreement, but he basically also said that most doctors are on salary. Mm-hmm. So it's like in the old days, they picture a Little House on the Prairie. I mean, the doctor comes to the house and he helps out, the little girl, whatever, and then dad pays the doctor. If he didn't show up, he wouldn't have got paid. If he didn't do his job, he wouldn't have got paid. So.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And whether doctors are on salary, it all depends on if they work for the hospital or if they're an independent contractor. Right. So some get paid per procedure. Some, as you said, are salary, but that differs from hospital to hospital, and there are pros and cons for having it either way.
The good news for us, the rest of us, is that you have people like this doctor who decided to, instead of staying at the hospital and doing another kidney procedure, what he does for a living, he decided to sit down with a reporter and tell him what he thought about this, so that the rest of us would have some insight. And he's not the only one doing it. We've had doctors in our own community that did this, so it kind of educates us a little bit. And the good news is that maybe people who know more about it than I ever will are figuring out a solution to the problem.
Yeah,
absolutely. And because of the constraints on the budget that hospitals are having, they're having to streamline and really become more efficient, because you never really took the word efficient with a hospital ever before. Right? There was never a need, because, as you said, there's this pool of money that we could just tap into, and that pool of money is gone.
Right.
And so they're having to be more efficient, and I think it's going to have a positive outcome on everyone.
All right, now I have a very important topic to tell you about today. I need to let you know there's an 820 also today. I know you hate that, but we do have an 820. But here's, I don't know if you heard what I said earlier, but let me just repeat it in case you didn't or somebody else didn't. If there was a study done to see who are the go-to demographics for the young adolescent today. Mm-hmm. Well, if the young adolescent is a 15-year-old boy, and he wants to know, how do you ask a girl out on a date, he's not going to go to the demographic Robin and I are part of.
No.
We're 55 plus. They're not going to come to us. Mm-mm. Okay? They'll come to you, Galen.
Yeah.
The 15-year-old might go to you. Hey, Coach Unold. Coach Unold,
Right.
how do I ask a girl out? Okay, and they will come to you.
Sure.
But you know what they come to us for? Monopoly advice. For some reason, when I don't know how they did this, but they asked kids, I don't know how many, who would you go to grandma for? And the grandma was described as 55 plus.
Yeah.
Monopoly. I don't understand this game. How do you win this game?
I know. It's because we're experts. We played it when we were kids.
So, and I know Galen probably played it, so there's no reason why we couldn't give advice on dating a girl, mm-hmm. or advice, or there's no reason why Galen couldn't give advice on Monopoly.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a pretty darn good Monopoly player.
Right.
I will tell you, the game of Monopoly isn't the same as when we played it.
Okay.
It's just not, all right? Because everything's electronic now. So first of all, the banker can't cheat. And, and that's part of the beauty of being the banker, is you can cheat.
Okay, but now this story here has to do.
Just let that go. All right.
No, I'm not letting it go. It's just that you brought in something new to the equation. You brought in the electronic Monopoly. This is not about that. This is about the board game.
Yeah.
Okay.
You open up the box. There is not a battery in sight.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right.
So this is advice, actual advice, 11 strategies from Monopoly guru Sam Greenspan, whoever he is. This is what he says, Galen. His average game lasts a half hour. He can't stand.
Wow.
He can't stand three. He never loses, and he has published. So for those of us in the demographic that are going to have the 15-year-old come and say, "Hey, I need some advice on," and you're waiting because you want to share your wisdom.
Yeah.
They're going to ask about the meaning of life. They're going to ask about dating a girl. No, they're going to ask about Monopoly.
Yeah.
So let's see if we agree with Sam Greenspan. It's hard to disagree with the
First of
guy.
all, have you ever had a game of Monopoly last 30 minutes?
No.
No. Never.
No, never.
No.
No, because, I mean, especially if you're using the old board game where you're counting out the money.
Right.
It takes a good 10 minutes just to set the thing up.
Okay. So so with that said,
Pick your piece. I mean, picking your piece.
That's
But if you're
important.
playing with like a 6 or a 7-year-old, that could take 10 minutes.
well, let me just real briefly, because I know we have a 20 after interview. This is from Sam Greenspan. Here are his 11 strategy tips. Number 1, make free parking as lucrative as possible.
That'll get the game going faster.
When you're
Sure.
deciding on house rules, make it as lucrative as possible. Make landing on go a $400 payment. Pass and go is $200, but landing on go gives you $400.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So he wants to get the money going early because that way you can buy more property,
Right.
more hotels, and that way the game's going to go faster. Fair enough.
He says buy as much property as you can early on, including the cheaper properties, Baltic and
Absolutely.
Mediterranean.
Yeah, I'm big fans of those. My favorite place on the board is St. Charles Place. Because you make that turn and people are like, "Oh, okay, I got past jail." Bam. I got jail in Virginia, St. Charles, and then what's the other one? I can't remember the third purple one.
Is it Vermont?
Vermont's blue. Vermont, Connecticut, and Oriental. I could probably name those entire
Robin,
Monopoly board.
you're embarrassing your demographic. You're supposed to know that. You're supposed to know that. Which color is which?
Well, I like Marvin Gardens, and that's yellow, so I know that.
Now, what color is Marvin Gardens, though? Can you name the other two that go with Marvin Gardens, and
No.
what's their color?
Well, Robin
Can't
just
do
said it was yellow.
I
so.
know it's yellow, but I can't recall what the other two are.
I can't either. All right. He also says Sam Greenspan, whoever he is, he's a Monopoly guru. Do not buy the utilities.
Like a Monopoly guru, right? If you were to Stan Greenspan,
Yeah, right.
Monopoly guru. Yeah.
He says do not buy the utilities. Do not buy the utilities.
Oh.
There's only
See, if you get 2 of them, then you get 30% of the dice roll, and okay, all right. I've never heard that strategy.
He says don't buy them. He says it's a waste of time. Get out of jail as quickly as possible until a monopoly has been made.
Yes.
He says you don't have time to waste. You can't stay in that jail. Get out of there as quick as you can.
That's right. That's right.
He says never buy the railroads.
Oh.
Really? Well, I like them.
Never.
There's something great about having all 4 of them, right?
This is why your game lasts several hours.
Let's see if I can name them all. Right? We got Reading,
Right.
B&O,
Right.
Pennsylvania. No, it's not Pennsylvania. B&O.
I don't know. See, well,
Ready?
I'm doing my demographic. I'm embarrassing my demographic. Yeah.
And
There's short line.
Oh, short line. Robert
Short
remembers.
line. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think Pennsylvania's one, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I think.
It is. I think that's
Yeah.
before then.
All right. All right.
Reading, Pennsylvania, B&O, and short line.
Don't buy
yeah.
railroads. He does have in parentheses here, if you must buy a railroad, only use it as trade bait.
That's a good idea.
Only use it
Absolutely.
as trade bait.
And that's the great thing about playing with a 7-year-old. They will take just about any trade that you talk them into.
So the key to winning is play with a child, little child.
Yeah, but you gotta let the child win.
15.
Okay, when's the last time you sat down with an adult and say, "Let's play Monopoly"?
Oh my gosh, I don't think I ever have.
No.
Have I?
There you go.
It's always been- yeah.
When's the last time you played Monopoly with a child?
When Alex was little, I'm
There
pretty
you
sure.
go.
I'm pretty sure.
So the last time you played it was with a child.
I'm not questioning it. I'm with you. All right, never make a trade until.
And a child will take the utilities because they like the graphic on the card. Don't ever underestimate that power of that graphic.
I believe that's true,
of
too.
the light bulb.
Yeah. If you must trade, look to get 2 monopolies for 1 in a trade.
Yeah, that's not going to happen unless you're playing with a 7-year-old.
2 for 1. This is an interesting strategy here. Once you have a monopoly, mortgage everything, he says.
Yes, I've heard that.
Mortgage everything.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Now, that's the most complicated part
I know.
of Monopoly.
I know, I hate it.
Mortgages and how much, what am I supposed to, what's this interest? What? Very confusing.
Right.
You can read the back, and by the way, we've all read the back of that card
I
like
know.
87 times.
That's crazy, I know. What the heck does it mean?
Just Stan Greenspan doesn't even completely understand the mortgages.
No, he does. He gets it. It's funny. Get to 3 houses per property as quickly as possible. Have at least 3 houses on each of your monopolies.
Yeah,
agree.
that's a good piece of information.
And then know when to concede or to convince your opponents to concede. Very quickly.
Well, again, if he's playing a game within 30 minutes,
Right.
and we've all had to play out the string. And I believe it builds moral character to play out the string of Monopoly when you know you're going to lose. And you have to continue to roll the dice, and you hope you land in jail. It's the last safe spot on the board. Right? I mean, that's part of growing up, is battling through it.
Anyway, so there you go. I'm gonna fold these up, put them in my pocket because I haven't had this moment yet. But since I'm in the demographic of the 15-year-old is more likely to ask only about Monopoly and not about God,
That's right.
or about girls, they're gonna ask about Monopoly.
I don't think any 15-year-old's going to ask Monopoly questions, are they?
That's what they said. They asked 15-year-olds.
Oh, they like playing Monopoly.
What are you going to go to?
Friends.
If you had a question about a girl, who would you go to? I'd go to my dad. How old is your dad? 35. Okay, thank you. If you had a question about God, who would you go to? I'd go to my dad, my mom. It's always a dad, mom, right?
Yeah.
If you had a question about, who would you go to grandma about? Monopoly.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's probably, I mean, I guess it's the question more, how the question was asked.
Yeah,
I don't know. That one's crazy.
Maybe,
right.
maybe the Monopoly people did that one. Who knows? That might have been a paid survey. All right, I know we're running up against the clock. Rob, you want to do a quick segue from Monopoly to donating blood?
Well, that's one of the great talking points when you go to Life South Community Blood Centers. Bring up the game of Monopoly. So as
God.
you're donating blood, a lot of people will be able to share their house rules with you.
You know what they'll say? They'll say, "You are 60, aren't you?"
Yeah.
Let's play Monopoly.
Talking about Monopoly. Galen, where's the Bloodmobile today?
Bloodmobile today, Larry, is at the Winn-Dixie out in Wildwood, and they're also at the Bellevue Kmart.
All right.
Oh, okay,
So if you
excellent.
can't get there, go next door to the Cascades on Silver Springs Boulevard. Donate blood. It's there in dire need. As always, right next door to the Cascades in Denellen. Where would you go, Robin?
Right next door to Winn-Dixie.
Dixie. All
She almost said it.
right.
Winn-Dixie.
All right, Galen, you have a great day. And then if you pass go, collect $200. But if you land on it,
Yeah,
get
but if you
$400.
land on it, get 4. I think that's a good tool.
I like
I'm going to have
that.
Uh,
to remember that one.
All right.
All right, bye, all.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll be right back.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Now through the end of the month, just mention that you heard this ad and receive 10% off all tile, all carpet, and laminate flooring. That's in addition to the super low prices already at DIY, like drywall screws. The big box stores get $6.47 a pound. At DIY, only $4.99. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Hey Adam, those burgers gonna be done before summer's over?
Maybe. Why? You got big plans for the summer?
Not really. Just the usual, kids hanging around the house. How about you?
Actually, I'm having Joshua get his pilot's license this summer.
What? Is he old enough? Can you really do that in just the summer?
Yeah, you can get your pilot's license at 17, and the summer is plenty of time. Plus, this could be the start to his career as an airline pilot.
That is a great idea. I bet Tyler would love that. Actually, I would too.
You guys should do it.
I don't have time for that. Some of us have to work for a living, you know.
Not you, no.